If you've been looking for a church or to attend or a ministry to get involved with, we have a very special program for you today. Hello and welcome to Ministry Connections. I am Patrick Hoban, the local ministry director here at Salem and AM 980 The Mission. Each week on Ministry Connections, we spotlight a church or ministry in the Twin Cities area to help you to get to know them better. If you know of a church or ministry that you would like us to feature, call the station or drop us an email at comments@salemtc.com. You can also follow us on our Facebook or YouTube pages and X. Just look for AM 980 The Mission. Now today I have a very special and exciting guest for you today, and I want any business owner out there to listen up carefully. My guest is Bob Willbanks, and he is the CEO of G7 Networking. Welcome, Bob, to the program.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Now, first of all, Bob, as you're a local man from here, from the Twin Cities area, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up, who you are, something interesting about you.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, we've got 14 minutes. No, we moved here in 1968. My mom and dad came to the Twin Cities. My dad picked up a job with Northwest Airlines, and he was a naval aviator up until then. So we had been bouncing around. I think that's probably the one thing most people don't know. I had been moved 20 times by the time I was 8, thanks to being in the Navy and being that Navy brat. From there, we've lived in the Twin Cities pretty much ever since. My wife and I reside down in Rosemount. We're empty nesters. We are a blended family. She has two kids, and I've got 3. All of them have moved out. They've blessed us with 7 grandkids, all within the Twin Cities metro area, and that's what we do in our spare time, is hang out with the grandkids.
Fantastic. You know, I'm rather new to the Twin Cities area, but I've grown to love it very, very much. But I haven't bounced around as much as you have over the years. Now, a lot of people may not know about the G7 networking group that you started yourself. Tell us a little bit more about that. What was the vision that you had that caused you to start that whole networking program?
Sure. So for me, I had lived most of my adult life as a miserably saved Christian. I say that, because of the way I walked around with like a get out of jail card free, get out of jail free card in my wallet. And, I would say I was Christian. If anybody asked me, yeah, I'm Christian, but don't look at the way I lived my life. It was not in alignment with really anything biblically valued or what you would learn to be as Christ-like. So as I was miraculously saved from an alcohol addiction and numerous other things that were just really trashy in my life in 2012, and proceeded to jump into the lake of my faith and really discovered what it was to have that peace beyond all understanding and receive the fruit of the Spirit and exude the fruit of the Spirit. I wanted to share that with all of my friends. And as that went on, I really just discovered that all my friends were in the marketplace and were pretty much living it out the same way I was before that, miserably saved. So the primary focus, and I say goal, behind G7 is to drive business for our members, right? Because we're a networking organization. We want to drive business for the members that are out there. But the primary purpose, the underlying reason for this whole thing is to help them grow spiritually. And so we're really out there finding those miserably saved Christians and lighten them up and helping them understand what it is to be more Christ-like as they go throughout their day.
I love that phrase. I don't want to be a miserably saved Christian, but I know what it is to be miserable and then saved. You are listening to Ministry Connections on AM 980 The Mission, where we give you a better look at a local ministry or church. And my guest today is Bob Willbanks, the CEO of G7 Networking. Anyway, I actually came to know Christ through a business a Christian business organization. And a lot of Christian business owners out there feel disconnected. Why is it important, Bob, for other Christian business owners or maybe CEOs or whatever it might be to get connected to other Christian leaders?
Right. So within the G7 environment, our biggest key, I think, when people say, what's your differentiator, is that people that will be involved in G7 will have top-line revenue responsibility within their organization. We're typically not going to attract a CEO that has, sales manager and 20 salespeople. The sales manager or the salespeople will be the ones that will be within the G7 environment, because the focal point is driving business, right? Driving revenue for those individuals within their companies. So that's the first big criteria that we have. And we say, most likely they're going to be Christian, but you don't have to be Christian to be part of G7 as long as you know you're joining a G7 networking organization. So we like to say that what we're doing is connecting Christians to build trusted relationships that grow them and their business.
So it's both growing the individual and the business at the same time,
right,
which is so important, right?
And to answer your question, I think the primary thing of coming together is it's pretty lonely out there these days. There's a lot of darkness in this world. And where each one of our chapters is like a point of light, where we're developing and building those trusted relationships so that we can unleash our God-given gifts, talents, abilities, and spheres of influence for the benefit of the others inside of the chapter. It's not just about driving the business. It could be personal needs. It could be professional needs. It could be your spiritual needs, right? Whatever it might be. I've got relationships, God-given gifts, talents, and abilities that I can pour into the others that are in my chapters. So the primary thing we say to members is show up with a grow by giving mindset. So that means I'm here to help you. I'm here to help the others in the chapter. And if I receive something, that's a bonus. But I'm not showing up to receive. I'm showing up to give.
Wow, what a great thing. So you're coming there to give. And when you give, it's better to give than to receive, Paul said, right? But when you do give, you always receive back.
Amen.
Before we get into the next segment, how many chapters are there of the G7 network here?
So we have over 30 fully formed chapters around the country. We've got 8 fully formed chapters here in the Twin Cities. And when we say fully formed, that's where we have at least 3 leaders out of the 5 leaders in the chapter. Every chapter should have a president, a vice president, a membership director, an event director, and a prayer director. So we say you're fully formed when you have at least 3 of those 5 leaders and 2 other members that have joined you. Now, we've got at least 20 other chapters around the country that are in formation. We're currently, if we look at all our members, I think we're probably in 30 states at this point.
Wow.
But it's starting to really catch on and grow quickly.
Amazing. You are listening to Ministry Connections on AM 980 The Mission, where we give you a better look at a local ministry or church in the area. My guest today is Bill Willbanks. He is the CEO of G7 Networking. Can you tell me a story of somebody that came to your organization, that something happened to them, maybe they were facing something, and G7 was like a catalyst to help them out? Is there anything that comes to your mind?
Well, there's quite a few stories, of course, on driving revenue, but I like to put the focal point on how we help somebody take that leap of faith or that next step in their faith walk. And I'm sure Keith wouldn't mind me bringing this up. He's got a radio show here at Salem as well. I think it's called Your Healthy Home. And he and Sheila host one of our G7 chapters here in the Twin Cities. He had a barbecue place that he owned that's right across the street from the radio station. I think it was called, or still is, probably called Rack Shack Barbecue. And he just was recognizing that it was probably getting to be time where he needed to sunset that and step out of it and hand it off to somebody else. And we had been talking all year long about hearing God's voice. and going deep on that subject within our G7 meetings. And he had brought up that I never hear God's voice. Why don't I hear God's voice? I want to hear God's voice. And we kept working on that and talking through that and praying over that. And all of a sudden, it got to be about mid-December, and Keith sent out a note to everybody in the group, I'm selling Rack Shack Barbecue. And it was just out of the blue. And our meeting was coming up the next day, and or within a couple days of that. And he said, yeah, I heard God. God told me to sell it. And you're not going to believe what happened. I put that out there, and 5 people contacted me, and I've already got the sale in motion. And it was like 3 weeks later. You know how long it takes to sell a business. He had the business sold. Everything was completely taken
amazing.
care of, and he was able to still maintain being part of the process. So to put a wrapper on that, really what happened was, as he was telling the story, he said, I heard God's voice, and he just broke. He just kind of lost it. And Sheila came over and was kind of rubbing his shoulders and said, you guys, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for G7.
That's amazing.
Right? So, and it's just the group. It's just knitting ourselves together. It's Jesus being there. Where 2 or more gather in his name, he's there. And we're just allowing that to happen in the marketplace amongst other believers.
Very powerful. Before we come to a close here, it's a dark world out there. We're all going through challenges. Business people are going through challenges, especially the economy kind of is up and down, and we have a lot of inflation. How can, say, a business owner out there today that's maybe listening to this program, either on the radio or online, how can they get in contact with your organization, Bob?
It's very simple. It's g7networking.com. Everything operates through the website. We actually have the top entry point for the membership is complimentary. So you can come in, you can fill out your profile and start connecting. So you're finding tools, resources, and connectivity with others of like mind and spirit through a complimentary profile. And then from there, you can find chapters to get involved with, whether it be local or virtual, whichever you prefer. And if you decide to join, fantastic. Membership is explained right on the site.
That is an awesome opportunity. So if you're a businessman out there today or somebody that needs to connect with other business owners that want to drive business, but in an atmosphere that is encouraging, Christ-orientated, that is the place to go. It is the G7networking.com. Anyway, today you can hear Ministry Connections each week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1:30 p.m. and also on demand on our Facebook page and X. Just look for AM 980 The Mission. If you have a local ministry or church that you would like us to highlight, please call us or the station or email us at comments@salem@tc.com. I am Patrick Hoban, thanking you for listening to AM 980 Mission, the Twin Cities Christian Voice. One last thing you would like to encourage the business owners out there to that you could encourage them with today, Bob?
Well, I think the main thing is if we show up with a grow by giving mindset, I believe we're cultivating the fertile ground that Jesus referenced when he was talking about spiritual reproduction. I think we can do that in the business sense as well. So show up to give, and you create the fertile ground that will bring the 30, 60, and 100-fold return.
Thank you for coming on today, and we really appreciate you, Bob, and all that you're doing. Thank you for listening to us, and we will see you again.